What's up guys, my name is Ace, and Season 2 for Black Ops 7 is here, and I was really hoping to get the first gun guide for one of the two new guns that we got with Season 2. I was hoping to get that out today, but there are so many interesting elements with these new guns that it's just requiring a little longer than normal. And so instead, today I wanted to share just some of my initial impressions of the season, when it comes to multiplayer at least. That's my primary focus here. I don't really play zombies at all in this game, and while I do enjoy endgame, I enjoy it at a very casual level. I don't really dive into the details of that. I just kind of play around to grind some camos or level up some guns and stuff. So that's why we're just focusing on multiplayer, and let's just dive right into this with the maps. The first one I wanted to talk about is Sake, because this is an excellent map in my opinion. I'm really enjoying this map. I love the fact that it's a little bigger than most of the maps that we have in the game. I feel like this game is lacking in the medium to somewhat larger size maps. It's not huge, it's not so big that you're playing hide and seek all the time, or shouldn't be at least. I guess that's somewhat lobby dependent, but it's big enough that there's room to breathe and there's room to make some decisions within each lane as well. You're not funneled into just one single choke point if you decide to go in a particular lane. And there's a lot of room for mid-range gunplay as well. And that's really refreshing. And that's not to mention the aesthetic as well. I do like the Japanese aesthetic going on. I mean, it looks very similar to Den for obvious reasons, but I like that. I like it. It's bright, it's sunny. Cool architecture, but most importantly, I think this map plays really well based on my experiences with it so far. As for the next one, this is Torment, and this one is a bit on the smaller side, although for this game, I'd say it's more of an average size map. And the gimmick with this one is it's got portals, and unlike Fate, which also has these portals, with this map, the portals take you to a separate section of the map entirely that you can only access via portals. And you can actually use that separate, smaller section of the map to traverse the main section of the map really effectively and flank really effectively by utilizing those portals, because you have to travel a shorter distance within that small area to travel from one portal to the next, which can take you quite far on the main version of the map. And I really like this as a special sort of experience. I wouldn't want to see this on all of the maps all the time. I think that would be way overkill and it would get old very quickly. But as its own separate unique thing that you just play every now and then, I really like that this provides its own very unique experience relative to the other maps. After that, let's talk Nexus. And this one is designed for face-off as well as Core 6v6, so it's obviously quite a small map. And I've got to say, when it comes to this one, I am just not a fan of this map. I'm going to be dodging this one from here on out. If it gets voted for, I'm most likely just going to be leaving. And the primary reason is the visual clutter. There is so much going on visually, plus it's really dark as well, lots of shadowy areas. And I just find while playing this, I'm straining my eyes like crazy trying to find enemies. Part of that is a lack of map knowledge because I haven't played the map a ton. I don't know every little area where I can expect enemies to come from, and therefore I'm over-scanning a little bit and often scanning in areas where enemies can't even come from there, but I just don't know that because I'm not familiar with the map yet. But even outside of that, just the map itself, it's just a little too cramped for my liking. I'm not a big fan of face-off style maps. It's just not my style of gameplay. I like having a little bit of room to breathe at the very least, a little bit more opportunity for flanking, for instance, and this map just doesn't offer that in my experience so far. So personally, not a big fan of that one. And then this just leaves us with Slums, and I mean, Slums is Slums. I believe this is the 4th time this map has been remastered. We had it in Black Ops 2, then Black Ops 3, Black Ops 4, Black Ops Cold War. So at this point, I'm not really getting any nostalgia vibes while playing Slums. It just feels like it's a staple of Black Ops games at this stage. And I mean, there's a reason it keeps coming back. It's a good map. It plays well. It plays a little different in this game with the added mobility that we've got relative to the other games that this has been remastered in. And I would say arguably that does take a little bit away from this map, but it still plays good in my eyes. I've had a good time on Slums already. It's a very familiar map. But again, it just doesn't really hit that nostalgia nearly as much as something that's never been remastered before, or maybe only been remastered once 10 years ago, for instance. So it's fine, but I'm not particularly excited about the map. And with that covered, let's now talk about the new guns that we got. The first one is the Rev 46 SMG, and I've been working really hard on the gun guide for that. The reason it's taking so long is this gun is quite interesting in that you have the ability to collapse your stock, and in doing so, it actually changes a bunch of the weapon stats on the fly. Now, it doesn't change your damage or time to kill or anything like that, but it does change a lot of your handling and some of your mobility stats as well. And that's pretty cool. You've kind of got two guns in one, although both still perform like an SMG. It's just kind of on two different ends of the spectrum when it comes to SMG level handling. And with this, it handles super well, especially for a high fire rate SMG. The time to kill isn't like ridiculously good for an SMG or anything. I don't think this gun's like overpowered. It's just a really good, solid SMG that I've been having a good time with so far. It feels really good in my hands. Then for the assault rifle, we have the EGRT-17. And this one's unique characteristic is it has ricochet ammo, so you can't shoot through anything, but your bullets will bounce off depending on the angle that it hits, and you could potentially use that to do some interesting things where you're getting some bank shot kills on people. At the end of the day, those situations are going to be very rare, much more rare than trying to shoot through something in my experience, which has caused a little bit of frustration with that, where it's like, oh, there's just a really thin piece of cover and I want to hit the guy that's behind it, but I can't deal damage to him because my shots are just bouncing off. Additionally, the handling and especially the reload time are really slow on this. And I gotta say, at first, I really didn't like this gun, but after spending some time with it and like forcing myself to use it and unlocking attachments, it's getting better. It's one of those guns that does seem to rely very heavily on attachments. And now that I've got attachments on it, it's okay at least. Like, it's very usable, it's not bad, but I'm still not loving it. However, I am absolutely loving the iron sights on it. I do think the iron sights on this are among the best in this game right now. And then finally for new weapons, we've got the grenade launcher, which I'll be honest, I just haven't used yet. I literally just unlocked it this morning. I will have a breakdown on that though within the coming week, showing you guys exactly how it works and the limits and how it works versus flak jacket and all those things. And now let's talk about the new game mode or returning game mode that we got, and this is Safeguard. I'm so happy Safeguard is back. I've always enjoyed Safeguard as a mode, and I think it's playing great in this game overall. Yes, the spawns can get extremely sticky in this, and there are situations where you can shoot fish in a barrel basically and get some crazy spawn killing going on. And even though I've been on the giving side of that far more than the receiving side, I can understand how that would be very frustrating for the enemies, and I do feel kind of bad with how sticky those spawns can be, so perhaps some tweaks are in order there. Obviously, spawns shouldn't be flipping all the way to the other side, but there's probably some room for improvement spawns-wise when it comes to that. And I do think a big part of that as well is another issue that I've got with Safeguard in this game, and that is the fact that it has a fairly limited map pool. It only utilizes 11 of the maps in the game, and out of those 11, most of them are smaller maps. And I just don't think Safeguard is well suited to very small maps. I think it's better suited to the larger maps in the game, so you can have a more interesting route that the robot can take, a little bit more room for some spawn relief as well. And so I just found it really strange that most of the games that I was playing were on very small maps in the game. After that, just wanted to share my thoughts on the fact that the HARP is now fixed, or I guess Scout is nerfed, so that you can now have full confidence in your HARP again. When you call a HARP in, it will now show literally every single enemy player, and that has felt great so far. It's nice knowing that we can have that confidence again when you call the HARP in, and I'm going to be using this streak a whole lot more again. And then finally, before we talk about some new issues that have popped up, I did want to mention matchmaking. Matchmaking has felt really good after this update, especially for day one of a new season. In my experience over the years, day one of a new season is usually a very, very sweaty experience. Like, super frustrating because it feels like you're playing on a main stage and you've got to pull out all the stops just to keep your head above the water. And that really hasn't been my experience so far with this season. And I suspect this is due to the fact that ranked play launched with the season as well. So the very highly competitive players that would rather be playing ranked play but haven't had that option up until now, they're all gone out of the matchmaking pool and they're playing ranked. And I think that's led to a much more chill experience overall. I'm not saying all my matches were like super easy stomp fests or anything, although I'm sure the gameplays you'll see maybe will look like that because those are the ones I'm recording, of course. But it has been a nice mix with matchmaking, and I find that to be quite refreshing for day one of a new season. And that wraps it up for my early impressions so far. However, I want to have this section at the end here just talking about some new issues or some issues that appear to have gotten worse. The first new issue I've seen is HKDs. When you call them in, they don't always hit the maps. Sometimes they bug out, and the pods that drop the HKDs just kind of hover in the air, and they never actually drop the HKDs. So that's obviously frustrating when you earn a somewhat higher end streak, and it just doesn't work for you. And then another thing I wanted to point out, because I've been getting tons of tweets and comments about this, and I've experienced it a little bit myself, the loadout issues that we've already been experiencing, they seem to be getting worse. And there are actually a variety of issues here. I'm probably not even going to mention all of them, but One key issue is you can't create new weapon builds. If you try to create a new build for a gun, it just doesn't work. So you're limited to just having one build. And if you want to change attachments, well, you got to change your attachments on that one build. You can't save it and create a new one. That's really frustrating. It tends to be like certain guns that are bugged out. Like for me, it's the M8. I can't create new M8 builds for some reason. Also, sometimes when creating a class, if you're trying to put a specific attachment on a specific gun, every time you try to do that, it just kicks you out of the create a class menu, and then you have to go back in. And no matter how many times you try, you just can't put that one attachment on that one gun. That's also obviously really frustrating. There's also issues being unable to rename classes, or it lets you rename it, but then you play a game or you back out of the game and then you come back in and that custom name you made is just gone. And then another thing that's been happening since launch, but seems is happening a lot more now after this, is people's classes are just resetting all the time. So you have to set up all of your classes again, all your perks and everything are getting reset. And that can obviously be very frustrating. Outside of that though, everything's been playing nice and smooth for me. Connections have been really solid for me in my experience. Again, matchmaking's been good, and I'm enjoying the new content overall so far, but those are just my thoughts on Season 2, and I'd love to know what you guys think about the season so far in those comments down below. Are you guys generally enjoying the season, or maybe not so much? Also, if you guys have been experiencing any new bugs or issues that I didn't mention in today's video, please let me know in the comments as well, so we can get a good compilation of those and perhaps work to have those fixes expedited. If you enjoyed this one, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.